Well guys, I'm back for a new Victoria 2 tutorial, as this is going to probably be my hopefully well-detailed one for this, as I'm now going to do a video on how industry works. And of course, it's probably going to go into detail about the economy. Oh god! Everyone in this game acts like the economy is so hard to understand, it's too broken, all that. No. The economy is easy to figure out. I've never had a problem with it. Maybe, I guess, a lot of you are just not big brain like me. But it's mostly going to focus on industry in this tutorial, but I'll try and maybe go into the economy a little bit, because some of that intertwines with factories and all that. So how does how do you build factories and all that? Well, first off, you have to be civilized. Unless you go for the industry reforms when you're uncivilized, because there's two of them, but they're very expensive. But otherwise, like all these countries in green, they can build factories, but everyone else at the beginning of the game, they cannot. And of course, you have to also not have spaces, dashed across, because that means you're a colony. So yeah, you gotta be civilized. Two, you have to have a government in place that allows you to build factories, which means you have to be you have to be planned economy, state capitalism, or interventionism, but you can't build factories, but you can still fund them, so it's somewhat still building them up. So now, how do you build factories? Well, you can go into production right here, or you can press on a state and then hit this, and it'll build straight into that province. So now, first off, in order to build a factory, as you see right here, like machine parts, you have to unlock them too, because some factories are not unlocked until you unlock tech later on in the game. Like machine parts, pretty much the British, I think Prussia and Belgium are the only countries at the beginning of the game that can build machine part factories, and that's a very, very important good early on in the game to have. But as you see right here, in order to build like this machine part factory, as you see right here, these days, that's the minimum how long it's going to take to build a factory. You see, some factories are going to take a year, some are going to take 2 years to build, which is really annoying. Now, where is it at? Oh yeah, right here. This right here determines how much goods is needed to build this factory, like this machine parts factory. In order for this factory to build, because it will not start building until it has all these goods met. So, like that 730-day wait, that could be even longer until all these goods are met. So, in order to build this machine parts factory, it needs to have 349 iron, 349 cement, and 349 machine parts. So, once it gets all these done, then it will start building. So, then, when the factory is finally built, what's going to happen is, it's going to start hiring craftsmen and clerks if there's any available, if it can afford them. Now, if you subsidize them like this, or if you're state capitalist, interventionism, or planned economy, you automatically have the factory subsidized. You don't have to press on them. But each game day, it's going to try and hire craftsmen and clerks, and they'll build stuff for you if they can. So like the steel factory, like right now, yesterday in the game, it produced 13 steel. And then that steel is sold to you or the global market. So now, what does all this stuff mean right here? Like, all this in red right here means it's not, when they're in red, that means they're not getting the goods needed to be efficient. So, I see right there, it's producing 13 steel, but its max output, most efficiently, it would produce 18 steel. So, because of its shortages, it's not producing as much steel as it normally would and such. Like, steamers, too, I'm producing 2 steamer convoys when I could be doing 3. Explosives, I'm producing 1 when I could produce 2. As you see, it's just so on and so on. Now, what determines how good the factory does? You see right here, clerks and craftsmen, the more clerks and craftsmen you have in a factory, the more efficient they'll be. And also researching factory output tech, like, where was it at? It's not here. That's for output. Oh, maybe it's in commerce. Factory, that's not it. Man, I'm having a hard time finding it. Because normally I wouldn't, but yeah, you need to research these techs too to help your factories be more efficient, and in industry too. For output, was it again? Let me look. Was it for output? Damn it. Yeah, okay, yeah, for output tech, yeah. Alright. So, another thing, too, is you need to have factories that, like, support each other. Like, for example, if you have a factory, like this artillery factory, that needs steel and explosives, if you say, as you see right here, down, of course, it's not going to stay up there, but if you look down at the bottom where it's under factory for output tech at 5%, you'll see us have a steel factory and explosives factory. So if this artillery factory also had a steel and explosives factory in the state that this one's in, it'll also get a bonus. It gets the bonus for output tech for the explosives factory, which is right here, but since there's no steel factory here, it's not being as efficient, so you want to, like, have them all merged together. So, like, if it says, like, needs steel, needs explosive for its artillery factory, try and build explosive and steel factory in the state. You want to, like, have them all interconnected so they help make each other more efficient. Another thing, too, is, if it shows right here, is factories also get input efficiency if they're built in a province that produces the goods they need, like this steel factory. It needs iron and coal. Well, if this state has iron and coal, which it has coal but it's not producing iron, it gets more efficiency. So, very early on, you might want to try and build factories in states that have goods that they can use to make them more efficient. Like, here, this state has grain, so ideally, you want to focus on liquor distilleries, maybe canned food, although it's not really the best one, and such like that. You want to try and, early on, focus on building that up. Another idea to build your industry up really quickly to get the industry points is to build cement factories, because they're the most cheapest in the game, as you can see right here. Like, only not even, like, 3.5 thousand pounds. That's the cheapest of all the factories you can build. Like, a whole bunch of them, like you see, like steamer convoys, that is almost 40,000 pounds. So, yeah, that will produce a lot. So, as they produce, let me see, what's next? Oh, yeah, now to explain input and output for output. I'm not exactly sure what for output means. I've seen inconsistent, I've seen contradictory things about for output, but I know input and output. As let me go to research. I keep screwing up in here. So, we'll do input first. So, input means the more efficient your input is, a factory requires less goods to produce whatever. So, as you get that later on, you'll need less goods, which makes it more cheaper. And then likewise, output means you'll be able to produce more with less. So, the higher input and output, you require less goods to build things, and you can produce more goods with less goods, if you get what I'm saying. So it makes it more efficient and more cost saving. And factory cost too, right here, lowers the cost of factories, which is also very good as well. Mining and farming output helps you make more money, which also helps with factories. Another thing that helps input, output, and for output is building up railroads, which increase how much input you can do, well, for output in a factory. So, yeah, build up your railroads, too, to help your industry as well. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. So, if a factory starts losing money, not being efficient, unless you're subsidized, factories will start firing workers, and eventually, if it doesn't get itself resolved, as, let's see right here, as you see right here, like this factory right now is making, 50 pounds a day right now recently. So that means it's making money. But if it's losing money, which would be in the red, which I might have to speed up a little bit to see the difference. As you can see, it looks like right here. Well, here's one right here. The steamer convoy is losing money a day. So as it loses money, it'll fire employees, and then eventually if it runs out of money, the factory will go out of business completely. And you can either reopen it yourself, or capitalists can come in and try and reopen it themselves, like capitalists try to build this railroad. So, oh yeah. Factories can have up to 10,000 workers. And after that, can't hire anymore unless you upgrade them, which takes a year or 2 years, depending on the factory, to upgrade, and then it can hire up another 10,000 people. Each factory, fully supplied with workers, produces up to 4 industry. So, it goes up a little bit each time you get workers. So if you get like, so if you have one factory with like 2,500 employees, I think it would be like 0.1. No, like 1 industry point. And if you get 50, I mean 5,000 halfway becomes 2 industry score, and finally max out at 4 industry. So each full factory has 4 industry points, and then if you upgrade to another 10,000, it'll increase it to 8, so on. So that's another way you can quickly build yourself up into a great power, is to get as many factories built at the start and just hire as many people. Now, it's not as efficient if you're not a big populated country, but I mean, if you're not a big populated country, but if you are one, that can be really useful, although it's also very costly too. Like subsidies right here, you can't see it right here, but later on, if you have like a lot of factories, especially if they're very inefficient, your industry subsidies are going to make it very, very, very expensive, to the point where you actually might have to consider turning off subsidies and consider going like soft core laissez-faire, which your industry will die, but hopefully overall the capitalists will save it and all that. So, yeah, I think I explained factories as simple as I could. They're not that hard to understand. It's very simple. I've never had a problem understanding how to build factories in this game. It's honestly really fun doing so. Watching your industry score go up, it shows how much of an economic giant you become. Alright, so that'll wrap up this tutorial right here. And I might do a quick one on economy too, since it's such a difficult thing to figure out, like with trade and all that. Alright, so see you guys next time.